Hello and welcome to the guest portion of DC Figures and Collectibles. Tyler G back here with Scott, and we are joined by Trevor of 16_shooter, and he is primarily what his name says, a 1/6 scale shooter, and he makes some hot toy shots. Usually, hot toy shots tend to be very easy to tell it's a hot toy, but he makes the pictures look in the articulation very fluid, very human-like, very cinematic, and a lot of times they also tell a great story, very nostalgic as well sometimes too. And he has a great variety of shots. It's not just one thing over and over, and it's not just Marvel, it's not just DC, it's all pop culture, and it's a blast to follow. And Scott actually was the one that booked him, so big thanks to Scott. This is awesome.
Thank you, Scott.
No problem. I'd say I'd seen your pictures shared everywhere by everybody, so yeah, couldn't
Thanks,
resist
man.
to ask you to come on.
Thanks. Yeah, I do try to get a variety. I think it's just because I got so much crap here that I feel like if I'm not shooting it, like I'm like just wasting money. You
Got to justify the purchase. I
You
understand.
gotta justify the purchase.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's it.
Now, if you will indulge us, we would love to know a little bit about you and what shaped you growing up. Some of the influences. What maybe is the one thing that you really were like, okay, this is my thing. I'm really into comic books.
Yeah.
Any of that, we'd love to know.
Well, I think I was a full-blown nerd growing up, so I was into everything. But I'm a bit older than you, gentlemen. So I grew up. I saw Star Wars when it came out in the theater. That was life-shaping, obviously.
Can you tell us a little bit about that day? That's not something to be glossed over, I feel like.
Well, okay, so that's even better because I'm not gonna tell you how old I was, but it was my birthday because my birthday's
Okay.
May 25th. So every
That's
3
cool.
years on my birthday at the time, I had a new Star Wars movie for my birthday, which was the best thing in the world.
Oh,
It was
awesome.
great. So yeah, I saw that in a
full-blown hype.
theater in the back of a station wagon with my brother. I think there's like 6 of us, but I think there's only 2 of us at the time. And yeah, I mean, as soon as that Tantive Ford door opened up and Darth Vader walked through, that was it, man. I was hooked. It was all over. Everything was Star Wars. Everything I got was Star Wars. Everything I talked about was Star Wars. So that was a lot. I mean, there were comics before that, obviously, and after that, and since then. So there's a lot of influence. I'm pretty much open to just about every genre.
So were you also there in theaters the day that Batman '89 came out?
Yo, yeah. Yep. I was there for that.
Oh,
Oh,
I was
amazing.
there for the sad Val Kilmer movie.
that was our first movie in theaters.
Ears flop back and forth as he was running a little bit at the end, which I was just like, oh, it's over. I don't know how you feel about that movie, but it blew it for me.
You turned out to be a prophet then, because it was definitely over after that.
It pretty much was.
Now, usually for a lot of people we notice that we interview, there tends to be a time in their collecting where they might have just stopped, and usually tends to be around middle school, high school. Did you ever have an area where you stopped? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was probably, I don't know if it was, I still had little things, so I still have, you can't see it, it's up on the shelf. I still have a Darth Vader case filled with all my original figures. Just about every one and just about all the weapons and stuff. I was really anal retentive as a kid and keeping everything together and organized, not losing anything. I remember I lost a stormtrooper gun once playing with my friends, and I freaked out for like 3 days. I was really upset. So I still have all that stuff. So there was, I hung on to that stuff, but I didn't, I had boxes full of comic books. I still have over here like 6 or 7 long boxes full of comic books. But yeah, the collecting thing probably in my late teens, 20s, and then, you move into small apartments and you leave that stuff at home. And then I picked it up and I dragged it around with me through 3 houses. I got married. It's still here. So there was a period of time where it was just collecting dust in a closet. And then I think it was just before The Force Awakens came out. And I think it was a catalyst for a lot of people when I listened to people talk about it. And again, there was still little things here or there, but not, nothing great. So that I started picking up Hot Toys. And I'd picked up some stuff before that in the past, but just like weird, like Monty Python figures. So,
Okay.
And so that was my real foray into 1/6, and then it just went from 2 figures, which I thought I'd get Han and Chewbacca and put them on my desk, and that'd be nice to have them there.
So we all tell
And
ourselves.
about 175 figures later, yeah, that's where I am now.
So is that where it all reignited from the Han Solo and Chewbacca figure?
Pretty much, yeah. I got them, and I'm like, well, they'd just be fun to have on the desk, and I'll pose them. And then, like, immediately, I was on a lot of forums talking about the figures and looking at other ones and going, nah, I don't need those. I don't need those. And people were taking pictures of them, so I just took some selfies, of them, and then I was trying to like pose them a little bit better, and people were like, "Oh, that's a great pose" and stuff. I'm like, I could really do something with this. Like I know Photoshop. I can put them in Photoshop. I can put them in backgrounds and things like that. Yeah. And I started doing that, and I was on Instagram, but I never really used Instagram. So, hang on just a second. Can you cut that?
No, I'm just kidding. But we get a nice view of the shelf,
that
man.
Bit out, right? We'll edit that whole thing out.
No, that was a nice shot of the shelf.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I should be just talking like this, actually. So, where was I? So, I don't know where I was. Oh yeah, so well, I thought I'd have them on the shelf, and then I got my Instagram account and opened it up and just looked up like toys, and I saw this photography, and my mind was blown. I couldn't believe how many people were doing this. I thought it was something I literally came up with.
So was your account born out of toy photography, or did you sort of develop your Instagram into a toy photography account?
Yeah, no, it was just, it's pictures of my dog and vacation things and crap, and it was like so boring, and nobody was following me. I didn't. A couple of friends and things like that, so I didn't even bother with it. So yeah, that's what it basically was centered around. Yeah.
So what was people's reaction when you started photographing toys and doing all the photography?
I have a graphic design background, so I've been doing that.
Okay.
I did some photography for product shots, when I had to, like when a client couldn't afford a professional photographer at the time. I wasn't a professional photographer. We would just
Some would argue.
What's that?
So some would argue with you.
Right. Well, I call myself one now because I am getting paid for it in different respects. But at the time, I was just I was the graphic designer, creative director, and I would just go in the back, use the camera we had, took some product shots. So I had some experience with it, but I grew up again before digital cameras, and when I went to school where there was film and there was processing in a dark room, and I hated all that stuff. I hated it. Hated not having an instant reaction. Like I could draw and I could see exactly what I was drawing.
Yeah.
So I kind of shied away from photography.
Now you mentioned that you're married. What does she think of all this?
She's cool with it.
Nice.
The good thing is I have a basement. So if I didn't have a basement, when I started collecting, like I had a few on my desk, and then they graduated into being too many for the desk. So I bought a Detolf and put that by the side of the desk, and it was like, okay, that's cool. A few things here and there. And then it started to get a bit too much. So I'm like, I better clean up the basement and bring this stuff down there. So, which is what I did.
So you're in the basement right now? Oh, awesome. So setup-wise, how many sort of cabinets, figures, how many we were looking at?
I'll give you a quick.
Oh, nice. We got a tool.
Okay, so I'm trying to. Sorry.
Helmets.
Oh wow, that looks awesome.
Got some helmets. This is pretty much the Lord of the Rings stuff there. Star Wars here over my head, around here. The stuff that you'll love here. Maybe I can get this over here.
I see middle-aged Obi.
Yep, there's where am I aiming here? It gets a little darker towards the corner there, so I got Joker, I got Dark Knight Returns Joker, some Mezco stuff.
Nice. I can see Joker there. He looks cool.
Then we go into Star Trek. I got
Star Trek thing is
awesome. Area over here and Marvel area over here. Let me see if I can get this stuff off here.
Oh my gosh, it's like a museum.
I just got this cord on this thing. If I could get it off. There we go. All right. There we go. So there you go.
That's a nice
sick.
display.
Bust.
Cool Superman as well.
Yeah,
Classics.
man, I love that thing.
George Reeves?
Yeah, George Reeves. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
It's fantastic.
That's so cool.
I love the pose on Robin. That's great.
I know. I just used that for
fantastic.
shot, basically. I got the bat phone from a customizer.
That's fantastic.
Mad Max, Star Trek. Now, these guys aren't lit up, so you probably just Tony Soprano. And
Ooh, even Sopranos.
yeah.
Old Man Logan. Dang.
Marvel. Jack Nicholas.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I hope we see some of those upcoming this month.
And Pulp Fiction, Braveheart, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead,
Popeye.
John Lennon, Indiana Jones. Yeah. It's a lot of crap.
Awesome.
Jabba.
That's an amazing collection. Really fantastic.
And then the Black Series stuff is over there.
Definitely puts ours to shame today.
And the
Yeah.
Marvel, all the Marvel crap and all that stuff that I got. DC stuff.
So of everything
So
that
you-
you collect, what would you say are your favourites? Or is that too difficult to
Toy
decide?
wise, just like toy wise or line wise?
Yeah. Okay, I'll say both.
Okay. So my current favorite line is Mythic Legions. I'm like really loving those things, articulation wise. And I think I like them because of the photography aspect. I think if I wasn't doing the photography, I might collect a few of them here and there and have a small collection, but I love them because there's no storyline attached to them. You know what I mean? You're not forced into doing anything. As a photographer, you can have an imagination, and especially with the comic book stuff, you can do whatever you want pretty much. But when like you do something with Star Wars and somebody's got the lightsaber in the wrong hand, somebody's going to call you out on that. You know what I mean? And with
That's
Mythic
not canon.
there's no storyline. There's no, they have their own, but like you can do whatever you want with them. So I like that, and I like fantasy art. So that's what I try to do with those figures, is do some fantasy artwork with those. So I really like that line a lot. But the 1/6 stuff is beautiful, so I love to collect that stuff, and get customs and things like that.
Now, in terms of when you do your shots, is this like an end of the day thing to wind down and something you enjoy, or is it always business, or how do you go about that, and how do you go about balancing the enjoyment?
No, it's
factor with-
I have my own business, so and I work from home, and that is 9 to 5 at least every day, and then sometimes I'll give myself a day off, and sometimes I'll come down here and do some shooting. But generally, it's after hours. It's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock after dinner, and not every night of the week either. I wish I could. You guys, you're prolific, Tyler. I mean, like I don't know how many. You got a ton of stuff up there. I mean, what do you got? Like 3,000 posts or something like that?
I had 2 back surgeries that failed, so I had a lot of time on my hands to go through all this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it kept me sane when I couldn't do much.
Oh, that's cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, and it does keep you sane. I mean, it's like I do creative work all day long, but this is like it's not that much fun, and it pays the bills, but it's not exciting. And this, you come down here and it's almost like you're, directing your own movies and stuff like that. So it's fun.
Especially with the stuff you put up. It looks very cinematic. And do you have a lot of dioramas for the stuff? Is it always digital art? Or
No. It's almost
1/6
all
is harder, right?
It's almost all practical, except for some of the backgrounds. I have a 60-inch. I'll show you that. I don't know if you can see over there. It's a little dark right there now, but I have like a 60-inch TV.
Oh yeah, I can see. Yeah.
In front of the. So I use that for background sometimes. I'll just project something from the computer that I've either created or stock photography as forest or something. But generally, there's always something dimensional in front of that. I don't like doing too much compositing, if any at all. I haven't really done any of that in a long, long time. So I try to do it all practical. So I do have some sets, but yeah, you're right, Tyler. The 1/6 stuff is hard. It's hard to do sets because they're huge.
And not only that, but the way you pose the figures, did it take a long time to perfect that, or was that something you always just had a natural talent at? Because it's not easy, especially with the hot toys, to get them to look natural sometimes, despite how good their face looks. And you are just really good at it. So
thanks.
A lot of practice or just natural?
I think it's kind of just so when I was growing up, I wanted to be a comic book artist. Luckily, I don't think that I was too slow. I think that didn't work out because it's not the most lucrative of jobs. But I really wanted to do that or be a director or something. So I learned a lot of anatomy in art school, and I drew a lot of anatomy. So I think the motions, like a lot of people say, get in front of the mirror. Like I'll tell people this if they want to know how, to pose naturally. Get in front of the mirror and do the pose yourself and just really look at it and keep going back to it. You know what I mean? Like look at you, look at the figure. And I think it's just, I can just stand there and sort of do a pose or feel a pose, and I can just kind of put it in the position at this point that it looks right. And I could tell if something's a little off. I'm not always right either. It's never 100%, but I've gotten better at it for sure. It's just practice. I think it's just practice.
Then the other thing I really want to compliment you on, and something that you're really great at creating, is atmosphere. You have great atmosphere in all your pictures. You could tell the tone, what you're trying to portray, and that's a combination of lighting and what looks like. Do you use atmosphere aerosol?
I have atmosphere aerosol. I try not to use it too much because if I were outside, I would use it, but inside in the studio, it kind of has a little bit of a smell to it. and it kind of leaves a film, and it's like one thing on the figures that you can wash, the all plastic Marvel Legends or DC or Star Wars and stuff, but on I treat my 1/6 stuff probably rougher than others do. I still take care of them. I don't like throw them in the dirt or anything like that, but I have a fog machine that I use for those that, that doesn't really leave a film or a smell or anything like that. So that's what I'll do with those. But I will use that sometimes.
I always find aerosol just disappears far too quickly as well, to be honest.
And that's the other thing. Yeah. What it's great for is like when you want that just all over mist to happen, when you can hit it and you've got like an open aperture for like a second or so, you get a nice misty atmosphere. You can do the same thing with the fog machine, but you kind of blow it and control it. But if you want that lasting fog that just sits there, you got to do the fog machine. It just doesn't work with the atmosphere aerosol.
It's
different monster,
Yeah, it disperses far too quickly. But so the fog machine, what kind of pictures do you like to use that on? I presume it'll be like Batman pictures, stuff like that.
I gotta tell you, I use that, I would say, in 95% of the shots. And there's even shots that I've used it in that you probably wouldn't look at and go, oh, there's fog and there's an atmosphere there, because I like the way it kind of gives feeling of, because if even indoor, when you're looking at something at a distance in the background, there's atmosphere in between there. It's not foggy, it's not dense or anything, but there is something there. There's air there that kind of distorts the what you're looking at. So I like to get just a little bit of it in there in just about every shot. There's a few I don't use it for, but it depends.
Some pictures I wanted to ask you about. So you did a trilogy of these pictures with the Aquaman Beast Kingdom figure.
So
it's a slightly different scale as to what we're used to from you, but holy crap, you killed it with those pictures. So did you use the fog machine on them, for example?
Totally. Well, that's that whole underground feel.
Tell.
Yeah, it was loaded. There was so much fog, and the other thing is I have a fan that pulls it out. But no matter how much I have that fan on, the entire room is just covered with. So every couple of months I have to clean all these glass cases because it just kind of sits on the glass. But
But it's literally like walking into a bat cave when you got the fog machine going.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a heavy metal show down here when I'm.
Well, you are rocking out. In terms of, what were you just talking about, Scott? I'm just drawing a blank.
Beast Kingdom.
Aquaman?
Oh yeah, Beast Kingdom. In terms of those figures, what do you think about them durability-wise? Because we've been sent samples from them before and gotten to talk about them, and they do have a more, in my opinion, they feel like a little bit more toughness than like a Mafex. Mafex tend to be more fragile. Like, what would you think? What do you think?
Even more so. I mean, that Aquaman they're heavy, man. They're like some heavy figures. So I got some from from Beast Kingdom a while back to shoot the trilogy, the Superman, Batman versus Superman, Wonder Woman.
Yes, those are
A
good.
couple of those were nice. I wasn't too keen on the Wonder Woman. The Aquaman seemed heavier than those, even though like almost he's got like some metal parts to it or something. I don't know. Very
There's
heavy.
something about him.
Cool looking. Like some people didn't like the other sculpt, the basic sculpt, and then they liked the more angry, I think his open mouth and his hair was back sculpt. I kind of thought they were both good. I try to use them both just to show it off. They're interesting figures. I think I kind of like the Aquaman. I was gonna sell it, but I think I might keep it. It's kind of cool. It's kind of nice. I mean, they're nicely made. It's just too bad that the scale doesn't work with anything else unless you got some distance between, two figures or something like that, which, if you're into photography, it's fine. If you want to put them on a shelf altogether, it doesn't really work. So
in terms of face sculpt, how do you think they hold up to Hot Toys?
Oh,
some of them. Anywhere close, or because you're the expert, so you could be honest.
Not really. No,
Okay.
The closest I've seen to Hot Toys in a 1/12th. Hasbro's getting better.
Okay.
But really Mezco probably, and only here and there comes close. It's hard to beat Hot Toys. I mean, it's hard unless you've got a custom paint or some custom paints I've seen. Old Boy and things like that look amazing. But that's a hand done one-on-one thing. You're never going to get that from a mass-produced figure. You're just not.
Even if that same person does it again, they might fail at being that nice.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they're nice though. I like them. Trying to think. I didn't even know haven't done the Batman one yet, but they're interesting figures. I did just pick up and I saw you've been taking some pictures of the Batman versus Turtles figures, which I love.
Oh, that's so cool.
The stylization.
We're gonna get to see your touch with those figures. That's gonna be cool.
I had one, and I just it's like people say, everything you do is great, but you don't see the crap. You know what I mean? Like I don't put it out there.
It's a lot of stuff.
Shot that I thought was gonna really work, and it just wasn't working. And I tried, and then I think there's still something to it, but I just think I was off. And I couldn't get the lighting right to where I wanted it, but I liked them, man. And I got some pretty good poses out of the Turtles. I'll force them if I have to, and putty the heads and stuff if I want to get it in the right position and stuff. But I think they're pretty good. I really dig them.
Yeah,
love them.
We're about to get the
figures have you
next
got
round.
so far?
Yeah, that's my only disappointment is I got to wait till December for the rest of them. It's killing me.
What figures have you got from that line so far? Then?
Everything but the Mikey Batman one. I don't know if I saw it the other day in a comic book store and I was like, maybe I should pick that up. I'm like, I got to shoot the stuff that I have before I can get more because it's you probably know, it's out of control. It's out of control. Look at the shelf behind you, Tyler. It's out of control.
Yeah. That's why I hid my Instagram from my parents for a long time. The one thing it's one of my favorite shots, and you've done a few of them. And I remember far back, looking back at your page, I remember seeing this picture from a few years ago. And you're the only one, as far as I know, that I've seen do a lot of these photos, and it is the Princess Bride. And I absolutely love that movie. So to see anyone do any of those photos is just a treat. And you absolutely killed it.
I love that movie. And yeah, so that stuff work I did for QMX. So QMX puts those out. They put out the Star Trek figures, which are also excellent. And yeah, I'm hoping that they'll do more. So I do that for them professionally. I do all their promo shots. If you go on Sideshow, you'll see those are all my shots of Wesley there, which is cool. And it's like
that's super cool. That's
like
your touch on a great movie.
Yeah, I know, right? And they have Inigo Montoya too. They've shown him off, and I don't know what's happening with the line. They're expensive figures to make, man, to produce, and then at minimum you got to sell like 1,000 of them at least. You know what I mean? And it's tough. I mean, you think like you love Princess Bride, right? But you gotta plop down $220 or $200 for that. I say they're pretty reasonable. $200 still. It's a lot of money, and for people to go, if that's the only one, do I really need it? For $200, a lot of money.
That's why they hire you to take these photos, because after seeing it, you want it.
this is what other companies need to realize. Like, the pictures will sell your product. You know what I mean? Like, definitely. I think you can take a product, and I've taken some pictures of some pretty crappy looking figures. You know what I mean? And you make them look amazing. Like I shouldn't say this, but did Scott freeze? Oh no, you're just staring. Sorry, Scott. I recently took some pictures of. They probably won't watch this, but Michael Corleone sitting in a chair. That's a did figure. It's a pretty inexpensive knockoff figure. And up close, it's not great. It's fine for most people, you know what I mean? But I think once you start doing customs and stuff like that, you just have your taste kind of goes up for clothing and things like that. So, but I love the pictures that I took of it. Like, I think they look pretty damn good. And I think it made it look pretty good. And I had a lot of people ask me where they could get it and stuff. So I'm like, I told them, like, I think this is working, guys. You know what I mean? Take some more pictures. So yeah, QMX. I love that Princess Bride. I hope they do more. We'll see.
Your poses are all spot on too. It's like just a treat to look at them. So if any of you guys love Princess Bride, you need to go check out and see his pictures.
So the great thing about that stuff and like the Star Trek stuff that I did for them, what's fun is to actually watch the source material and then try to recreate the look and feel of that. With Princess Bride, all those are inside shots, they're studio shots, but I had to recreate the sunlight and the grass and
hanging off the cliffs of insanity.
And yeah, that was taken. He was laying down, and there was some rocks, and then the TV in the background is my
never would have known that he was lying down.
So there's that, and then the Star Trek shots. That was all that stuff was shot in a studio, and it looked really cheesy and 70s science fiction. So you got to try and recreate that and make it look like that. So it's fun. It's like a challenge. You know what I mean? To try and
like
make
a puzzle.
Yeah.
Right, I want to talk about some Batman. So you mentioned it earlier, and the red phone that you've got for the 66 Batman and Robin. Now that picture, such an incredibly cinematic picture, the really action-packed but simplistic picture, which is a real nice achievement, and the colours are beautiful on that. Just talk us through the process of putting that picture together.
Sure. And that's another one with what I was just talking about. So I went to the source material, and these are all, these were shows in the 60s that were shot in a studio, and there was generally, they were studio things. So they had big giant studio lights over the top of them, and there was generally one or two of them, and they'd get it on the actors, and the background really wouldn't be lit as much. There wasn't a lot of atmosphere, in there. There was nothing going on in the background, just some pieces of furniture and stuff. So, you want to try and reproduce that. And so I actually did get a picture of the actual room, of stately Wayne Manor there in the room.
Nice.
And I had to edit it a little bit because I had to edit out some details, and I had to put the bookcase in place because it wasn't in that picture. So I did that all in Photoshop. That's the backdrop. Then I had I didn't put the BTS up at this. I don't know why, the behind the scenes. But anyway, I had a stack of cardboard pieces that I keep just to raise the height of things, and a little tiny table that I cut off at the end to make it look like it was the desk that the phone was on. The phone, the statue, Batman and Robin, the poses there are key. And I watched that show religiously as a kid. After school, so not when it first ran, but like in reruns. I'm not that old. But so I know all the pose. I just know like Adam West's mannerisms, you know what I mean? And just that whole, holding up the phone and just looking off. Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And Robin with the fist.
That's my favorite pose.
Classic,
Robin's.
yeah. Absolutely.
It's kind of a little like smirk, but mean. I love it.
Yeah, with the head looking slightly down as well.
Holy, whatever. Yeah.
and then
and he's
there's
got
one
no
picture.
expression either. What's that?
Oh, you made it look like he has an expression though.
That was the difficult part, because the Adam West figure, they're both great figures too from Hot Toys. I think two of the better Hot Toys that have come out in the last few years. Batman's got a lot of different expressions because, like with the cowl, you can just take off the lower part of the face and put him on grimacing and put on a, a little more of a smile face. I think, I don't know. But Robin is Robin. There's one sculpt, and he's just got that sort of static look to him. So it was tougher with him because he's the more expressive of the two in the show. Adam West doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he actually looks like
that was a fun. And then I had some props that I had used from the Michael Corleone that I just stuck in the back to give it a little more dimension, just make it look real. And I think I actually sprayed some fog into the back of that one too, just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of atmosphere. But yeah.
Now
fantastic shot.
There's one that you did recently that got a ton of reaction, and the behind the scenes alone is amazing. Just seeing all that went into it, and I don't know. Some people might think it's a simple shot at first glance, but there's a lot going on in it, and it's beautiful. And it is the Arthur Fleck. Is it a hot toy?
Literally,
oh my gosh!
Just cleaned that up yesterday. It's too bad. I would have shown you the. Well, you can see the behind the scenes there. So
yeah.
That's a technique that's been. I've seen other people use this, where you put a piece of glass in front of between the camera and the figure, and you can use it to do like a hologram, for instance. Like if the character's holding their hands like this, you can take a phone or something like that with a black background and just, a picture of the figure, and it'll look like as if, the character is holding the hologram in its hand, which is a great technique.
Oh my gosh.
So for this, you can see it in the BTAS, there's a piece of glass there, and then I used my iPad, which I was hoping was big enough, and it turned out it worked out all right. So I did this whole I created this whole scene to make it look like an old 70s TV shop, like a Radio Shack or something like that, with TVs in the window in New York, with all the clown news on the front of it. And just use some random figures. I think Steve Jobs was behind there, and what's his name?
Mia
Michael
Wallace
falling down, and Mia is back there. Mia Wallace is back there. Good catch. She's a great background character because really she's kind of unrecognizable most of the time. So just people walking on the street, and just put his hand up there, and it worked out really, 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 really well. I had to put a black card behind the camera in front of me while I was shooting it because the reflections were crazy.
Oh, okay.
But it worked out, and it makes it look as if he's looking through glass, and you're seeing the reflection on the other side of the glass of the TVs and stuff. So.
And you can see the cardboard pieces you're talking about.
Yep.
Dang, that is awesome, and such a ingenious little setup that I would have never known. And you were about the 70s and the color stuff. That's the best part about it. I love the colors.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a lot of fun. I mean, when you get the shot, and I'm sure you do this too, you go in and you edit. And some people have, like, they kind of have a style, and that's what they do. I have some things that I do almost every time. There's a little vignetting, there's a little bit of contrast, but it all depends on the shot. You know what I mean? If I'm going for a certain look, like the Batman TV show, I want to give it that almost muted, like color TV was color, but it wasn't bright colors. It was kind of that muted studio color, and there was a little bit of, fuzziness to it and stuff. So a little bit. Yeah, exactly. So it's fun to go in and edit them, post, and play around with that stuff.
What figure is that? What Phoenix figure is it? I've seen that all around a lot, but I'm not sure the what actual figure is.
That's a third party, so it's not officially licensed. And I heard you talking about something on the show the last time that I'm going to bring up in a minute. But so that's a third party. I don't forget what they call it, but basically you get the sculpt, the head, and the clothing. But I've seen, again, like I said, like I'm used to like really good clothing. Like Hot Toys is very good clothing. This is really good. This is really good for like $90. You got the head and the clothing. You had to get your own body, but it had everything else. And man, it was a bargain, man. It's a great figure. It's really,
it does look amazing. That head sculpt is fantastic.
That's tempting me to be my first Hot Toy. Or
so what I heard, if you want to know this, and this is probably be scoop for you.
Yes.
I heard through a couple of people now in the industry that, because I was wondering, like, we were talking about, so I do a show called the 1/6 Pack on YouTube that we just talk about 1/6 stuff with Eye of Watu and Capes and Rifles.
We've had Iwatu on.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah, he's a great guy. TJ is a great guy. So we were talking about a couple weeks ago, like, how is it that there's no Joker figure yet announced or shown, teased from Hot Toys? And Hot Toys usually, the movie's going to be a hit. So why is it not out there? So I've heard some rumors that they're a little worried about the whole violence aspect, and this is Warner, DC, somewhere between the two, and they're holding back on doing anything yet until I think it kind of comes out and things sort of, just get by and are nice and mellow like they should be, hopefully. But I think they're a little shy about it. I think they're a little bit worried. So that's why you haven't seen that. Maybe it's a rumor, but that may be why you haven't seen anything. But it's weird, right? I mean, it's weird that we haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's very weird. Very, very weird, because you think they'd be jumping on it. So even Justice League, they had several hundreds of versions of figures.
Exactly.
That wasn't particularly great. What did you actually? Nice chance to talk about it. What did you think of Justice League, DCEU, and the state of it right now?
That's a loaded question, guys. I know you're a DC show. I'll try to keep it nice. Let's see. I loved Wonder Woman.
Yeah, amazing.
I liked Aquaman. I thought it was fun. Thought it was a little
cheesy.
No, the special effects I think were almost. I have a problem with this with a lot of movies these days. It's almost overdone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love the analog look. I love that they're doing Star Wars now with Muppets and people in costumes and stuff, because there is a feel now that you get. Everything looks incredible. I mean, it looks like you look at it and go, wow, it's amazing they made that. But everybody knows what you can do with CGI now. So it's almost like it pulls me out of it a little bit sometimes when it's way over the top. But it was fun. It was a fun movie. I'm excited for Joker.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask.
Oh yeah, I got my tickets for tomorrow. I'm going to Comic-Con. I'm racing home and going to the 7:45 show.
Yes,
can't wait.
That's awesome.
Because that looks great.
Hopefully that inspires a lot of shots from you.
Here's my thing. And I don't think they're going to do this with the Robert Pattinson upcoming movie, but they should. Okay, think of this. Let's forget everything's happened up until now. Okay. The fact and the look of this Joker movie, I love the fact that it's set in the 80s with the gritty look of it.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like what they were going with the look of Superman, Man of Steel, right? And then Batman versus Superman. They almost did that toning of the whole thing to make it look like desaturated and dark. Forget that. Take everything and put it in the 70s and 80s. Neil Adams looking Batman, detective Batman, like the real Batman that like
Brayfogle style art.
Yes, exactly. Everything. I mean, think about everything in that era. Superman being more, Boy Scouty and
That's true.
Oh man, I would love if everything. I think that would set them apart from Marvel. You know what I mean? It would put them in a different category. They could give it that gritty realism. You wouldn't have things like cell phones and technology to screw up stories. You know what I mean? Like, because a detective story, it's like everybody's got a cell phone. You know what I mean? You can't even do like Sherlock Holmes anymore. You know what I mean?
Just trace the GPS signal. You got him.
Exactly. Just put a tracker on him and we'll follow him on our phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But Batman was created in a world where technology and his own intelligence was his advantage. But when everyone else has got similar sort of thing, it's not as good. Like in the '89 movie when Vicky Vale walks into this amazing Batcave, all these fantastic gadgets, and then now you just walk in there and you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Everyone's got that.
It might be tough to take people. I think if you set it in the right time and you make it feel like, and it's the 80s and people understand it's the 70s or the 80s, but it might be hard for people to think, oh, Batman's got this technology, but like that's not even anything compared to my phone. You know what I mean? But I think if it's set if it's dated and it's dated and it's supposed to be back there, if Batman pulls out his Bat computer. Not that he would call it his Bat computer like the '60s show, but like, and it's something that looks like very '70s technology, but more than anybody else
That'd
has.
be
I
cool.
still think it would be kind of cool. I don't know.
That
Maybe
actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, I think that definitely does. And, they've got a good chance to do it because we've got Wonder Woman 84 coming out. And you've got the Batman movie being set back.
You might be
supposedly
on
back in the 90s. Well, it's being filmed in London, so it has to kind of be dubbed as 90s, really, with London these days. So, I think that's a good point there. I think that definitely could work. And like you say, it set them apart from Marvel, who go for all these amazing cinematic, bright lighted, sort of things, and DC can just darken it down, keep it simple, and build
DC
from there.
was always the darker, grittier, comic books growing up anyway. More of a Marvel. Marvel was always the cleaner. I mean, yes, it got into the personal aspects more than DC did, like Peter Parker's problems, as opposed to nobody cared what Bruce Wayne was doing, just be Batman. But it was always gritty and dark. You know what I mean? And that would give them that gritty, dark look. And I forgot about the '84 Wonder Woman. That's a good point. Like, that's perfect. It's perfect. They really should.
It's a good chance to reset the timeline and everything.
How would you guys feel as fans if they just kind of discounted the Justice League and Batman and Aquaman?
I think disappointed, but at the same time, if it means continuing the universe and giving some new characters a chance of, like, Pattinson, as you say, I think I'd be okay. I'd be okay with that.
Do you think it's going to be just okay if they just continue on this and Robert Pattinson is now Batman and he just works his way into the Justice League with everybody else who's already been there, and a new Flash apparently, right?
A new Flash and apparently a new Superman as well.
Oh, right, new Superman.
Which is crazy. And then Cyborg's not even been talked about. Like, God knows what's going to happen with him. It is crazy, isn't it? I hope we do see it again, but I don't know. I can't really imagine that happening, to be honest.
They just need that person, that Kevin Feige. They need that person they're just going to put it in their hands and say, listen. And it may be James Gunn. Like, I heard James Gunn now, right, is going to be working on Suicide Squad or something, right?
Yeah, he's doing Suicide Squad, and apparently he's going to be assisting. Who is it, Tyler? JJ. Is Tyler gone silent? I think Tyler's gone silent. But it's JJ Abrams, isn't it? Who's going to be apparently the head of DC now, and they're going to use James Gunn as his sort of number 2.
How did I miss that? I didn't see that. I heard he might be.
Apparently so.
Wow, cool.
Yeah,
well, he might be the guy then. He might be that guy that can take it and just give it a real, tie it all together, rein it in.
Yeah.
Take little bits and pieces of what's been done before, so it's not completely gone, but then just rein it into something that's cohesive and has like a direction to it. You know what I mean? Like, know what's going to happen a year from now in the movies, so let's all lead towards that.
Yeah.
Now, going from something that's very highly debated and a lot of people either love it or hate it, most people seem to hate it, we want to talk and reflect on some brighter days, brighter nostalgia, as we already talked about. And we ask a traditional question. We have 2, and mine that I love to ask is, and I like to ask it usually without telling people because I like to hear what they're coming off the top of their head, and it is, what are your top 3 Batman the Animated Series episodes?
I'm never going to be able to name them by name, but I will tell you this: to secure my bona fide. When I was a kid, I would come home and I would watch it after school, and this was the first run. So, and I would put what was known as what we used to call a videotape into the VCR and tape every episode. I had them categorized: Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. All
awesome.
Loved that show. I gotta think. I loved the original Mr. Freeze. I don't know what it was. I probably could dredge that up if I had to.
Heart of Ice.
Heart of Ice, yeah.
Heart of Ice, right. Yeah. Loved that one. I always loved anything with the Scarecrow, but I don't quite remember that one. I do remember it, and it was really cool. And then, of course, Mask of the Phantasm.
Yes, it counts.
Oh, yeah, that counts.
Okay, yeah. So that was incredible. I got to rewatch that. I haven't seen it.
Oh, it counts.
There you go. I still have the Phantasm over there somewhere. I have the Phantasm carded figure that they first came out
Cool.
with.
The
Awesome.
spoiler.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not very articulated, so I haven't broken it out, but I probably should.
That's a
not worth
classic
it.
figure. Now, Scott, do you want to ask your traditional?
Yeah, but great picks, by the way, for episodes. Heart of Ice, just
Heart of Ice.
ridiculous. Like
Yeah,
Mike
go.
Ansara's voice, just
Beautiful.
utterly ridiculous. How cool that voice is. Pun intended. So the Arkham games, are you a big fan?
So here's my problem. I barely have enough time to do the photography aspect of things. I have an Xbox, which I should have a PlayStation apparently now, but I was always an Xbox guy, so I have an Xbox One, and I couldn't even play the freaking Spider-Man game, which is killing me. And I want a PlayStation just to play that game. So to answer your question, have not played them, but have watched them, and I'm actually picking up a couple of the 1/6 figures based on
Nice.
yeah, so
What
I
figures
love
are you
the
gonna get in?
stylization, just haven't played the game. And honestly, again, I grew up, I played Zelda.
Yeah, classic.
The original Zelda. I lost 2 months of my life on that game. I mapped everything out, every place you had to go. I had like grid paper, everything was mapped out. So I played games, but I just picked up. No, this was 4 years ago. I picked up Witcher: The Wild Hunt, and I started to play it. And it's a cool game because I love those open-ended. You can go anywhere you want. But I was so like just wandering around doing nothing. And then I sat down in a pub, and this guy's like, "You want to play a game?" I'm like, "All right." So then now I got to learn this card game. I'm like, I don't even have time to play this game. Like I can't. So it's just a time thing. Otherwise, I'd be all over it. The games are incredible now. I mean, that Spider-Man game looked amazing. Arkham looked amazing. So sorry to spoil your question, Scott, but I haven't played them.
Well, what figures are you going to be picking up out of interest? If I was going to get Hot Toys, I'd definitely get Arkham figures. So I'm interested
Yeah, the
to
Joker
know which
figure
ones.
I'm going to pick up. A lot of people got that already, but I just love it. It looks great.
Looks amazing.
What is the other one that they're doing? I think they're doing they're doing Bane as a 1/12 figure, I think, right? From that?
Toy?
No, not Hot Toys. Somebody else. Maybe DC Collectibles.
Storm Collectibles.
Storm Collectibles. That looks pretty cool.
He's fantastic.
That might be a must get.
And I'm liking like 1/12 stuff even more because what we talked about earlier with the dioramas, so much easier to do. Build a diorama, buy a diorama, make a diorama.
Yeah.
And with the Mezco fabric, it looks just as good sometimes.
It does. I got to tell you, I was a late comer to Mezco because I was like, first of all, I got a lot of Hot Toys. Then you're going to talk about another $90 figure of a figure that I probably already have. And I'm like, But I've gotten a bunch now, and now I'm up to probably 6 or 7 of them, and they're awesome. I mean, they're really, really awesome.
I've seen a few of them that you've got. What are they?
What's that?
What figures have you got from Mezco?
Oh, I got the Batman Sovereign Knight. I got the Joker Clown Prince, which I actually did some pictures from Mezco for. I just got James Gordon, I got Daredevil, and I got Punisher from the Netflix series.
Nice. What's that Gordon like?
Gordon is really great, man.
Yeah.
And I got a shout out to Mezco. I opened it up, and you'll probably have a story similar, but he's got a shirt on. I put the jacket on, and I go to bend his arm up, and either they had put the arm on backwards or it had gotten twisted, and it wouldn't move. Something was wrong, and I don't force things, and I didn't, but I just bent it, and it went snap. And it flopped off out of the shirt. Like there's the arm broken. I mean, I didn't even have a chance to shoot it. It was toast.
I've had
so I called them up. Yeah. Called them up, and they sent out a replacement right away, which was awesome. It was really good. But it's great. Yeah, really good figure. The bat signal is awesome. That's a great feature. Great thing to have. Speaking of dioramas, so yeah, I highly recommend that one. Really nice. But then you have to get Batman. So
you have a few pictures up of where you were at San Diego Comic-Con, and you were with a bunch of well-known toy photographers, and I'm sure you got to see a bunch of cool stuff there. And You mentioned that you'll be going to New York Comic Con. Is there anything that you're in particularly excited looking to see? Anything that you know? Oh, shoot.
You okay?
I have no idea what happened there. But yeah, so what are you excited about then for Comic Con? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of exclusives coming out that I've seen, and I didn't win any of
true.
I didn't win any of the exclusive right to get in line for Funko and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But today or last night, they leaked a few Hot Toys new figures, one of which being the Mandalorian, which looks amazing, and an IG-11, I believe it is, the droid from Mandalorian as well. So I'm excited to see about that because I didn't expect too much from them. I'm also hoping that they show the animated series, the animated Into the Spider-Verse 1/6 figures. I haven't seen them yet. I'm hoping that they show them because they've been teasing them.
Yeah, I've not seen the movie, but it looks freaking